Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, your home for all content Lord of the Ring home. Today we're going to go through the Legolas event. There's a few things I want to talk about in this video. First, I got some footage of me clearing tier 6, which is the one you just need 3-star for, with 0 resources into Legolas. As you can see on the screen right now, I got a 34 power Legolas, so I'll go through the footage and some strategy. It's pretty RNG dependent, but I think there's some overall tips you can use. So if you don't want to, you don't have to put any resources into that. I also got him to 5-star and cleared tier 7, mostly to get the 10 epic ability materials so I can finish doing my Elrond leader ability, but that one was actually way harder than any of the previous marquees, and it took a significant amount of resources into Legolas for me to be able to clear that. So I'm not going to show footage of that, but that one I needed to be like level 50 plus and actually have a good amount of gear and skills on him to be able to clear that. And then I've also got some like 3 different arena footage fights that I kind of want to walk through, and then we'll talk about whether I think he's worth buying. If you want to know right now, the answer is no. He's not data mined to be any sort of legendary unlock requirement. The reason I got him to 5 stars was 1, I wanted those ability materials, but 2, I also just kind of really want the fellowship team. I think that's actually the team I'm probably most interested in getting. So this is kind of my start for that. It's basically just that, you know. I wanted to unlock the Legolas to get to 5 stars. I'm going to do the same with Gimli. I'm going to try and probably go hard on the fellowship team if I'm being honest, because that's kind of like a personal thing that I want to get. So I wouldn't recommend it. That is basically the short answer. We don't know anything about raids. It might be good for raids, but we don't know anything at the moment. And his offers are there in the store for 35 days. So you have a lot of time to go through that, but let's get into it. Let's go through the footage of me beating this. So it actually seems like they've tuned the marquee events to be different than the previous ones, where it takes very little resources to complete that, just the free tier. So you basically get a free 50k and 10 light crystals. But the last tier actually does require significant investment, along with, you know, paying to get to 5 stars. I think I'm actually a better fan of this particular format, because that means that, you know, people are getting their free 3-star unlock and then also a little bit of resources on the side as well, which is just nice bonus, I guess. And we can talk about 3-star, 5-star, all the star changes. That I made a video about that already, so go watch that video for finding out how I feel about all that sort of stuff. And I think I'm going to do another video about it down the line. But for now, let's go through the footage of beating this with 0 resources. This is tier 6 in this case, but it's basically the one that you just need 3-star and not the 5-star one. Okay, so you saw 34 power Legolas. I know the aspect ratio looks a little wonky. I recorded it on my phone. And so the whole goal I have here is there's basically a minimum power that your team is. Normally it scales to your Legolas, but it looks like there's a minimum sort of power here. And so your Legolas is not the one you're going to end up using here. He dies pretty early on, right there. He's already dead. But you notice that the first thing I did was I didn't actually provoke with Eladin. Instead, I used his basic to land a weaken on Engineer here. And that's just so that my other characters have a better shot of surviving. And I'm just going for Engineer first. I know it's not optimal to heal when you've got poison on you, but everybody else is kind of struggling. That nimble there from Eladin was really key, avoiding that massive strike from Shagrat. And then Shagrat is the next person I'm going to end up going for. And so one other tip that I want to give you, besides making sure to use the weaken on Eladin that first sort of round, is you want to make sure that Naramiri, your healer, is under stealth as much as possible. So using her special one, even if there are no Banes to clear, just to make sure that she's continuously under stealth. And then what I was doing was basically switching off between my tanks. So I would have Eladin tank for a little bit, and then I would put him under stealth by using the Leliel's put everybody under stealth ability, and then he would provoke again, and sort of switching off that way. So I went for Shagrat next, got Shagrat out of the way, and then you want to go for Mordor Slasher. The Taskmaster, I think it is, he's just doing all these buff stuff. You can leave him for last. He's not too important to worry about. But you can see, even though they killed Naramiri, I'm still doing okay. That's going to clear out the Slasher, and now I have Taskmaster left, and this is just in the bag. This took me, I did it on both my free-to-play account and my main account, and it took me maybe like 3 to 5 tries on each account. I did it a little, like, how it turned out was a little bit different on my free-to-play account. I think just some different characters ended up surviving. I think I had Lomian and Naramiri surviving. I think Lomian is probably the key here because he is your damage dealer. So you got to make sure he survives. But other than that, you can do this with no resources into Legolas, which is nice. If you don't want to put resources into Legolas, you don't have to. You get a free 50k, free 10 light crystals, which I think goes a decent ways. Let's talk about skill priority on Legolas now, though. I have him at 5 stars on my main account, and so I've been thinking about what exactly I want to upgrade with him. I know some people in the Discord are buying Legolas just, again, like me, because they really want a fellowship team, just because they love the fellowship. So let's talk about what you need to upgrade. Luckily for Legolas, I think there's actually not a bunch of, oh, this needs to, all of his skills need to be maxed like the Rivendell team. You can kind of pick and choose here. One of the things I think you should consider upgrading as far as you can, though, is his basic. And that's if you want to use him in Arena. And that's just because his second, part of his ability here, which you unlock right away, you unlock at level 2, sorry, so definitely necessary to go to level 2. It helps you in getting around Eladin and other tanks in the arena right now. And I actually think that's really useful. So I would upgrade this, as much as you can. It's not a lot of damage. I think I have mine at 5 here, plus 20% damage to primary target and plus 10% damage to secondary target. I think that was pretty useful. I think eventually I'll probably take him up to 6. Again, just because, if I'm going through provoke stacks on Eladin, I can also still ping somebody else that I'm trying to get down, which is really nice, actually. His special 1, which attack the target enemy 3 times for 120% damage. Each crit will dispel 1 boon. That's at max. And then gain 1 stack of Nimble. I don't think you need to upgrade this that much. Definitely level 2, just so you can, each crit will dispel 1 boon. I find he doesn't crit as often as I would like, so that's probably because he's not with Gimli. Actually, the Gimli is for his special 2, so that actually doesn't even matter. I feel like he still doesn't crit as much as I would like, and his boon dispel is not something you should rely on like Arwen's special 1, which, is 100% dispelling the boons when you get it upgraded, right? It looks like low damage here, plus 10% damage per hit, but you have 3 hits here. So it's really like a 30% damage increase here. So definitely level 2, but you could probably keep it there for a little while if you want. I don't think this is a priority in terms of upgrading. All right, special 2. Attack the target enemy for 460% damage. This attack ignores 50% of the target's armor. On kill, gain 100% turn meter. And then if Gimli is an ally, plus 30% crit chance. And 50% crit damage, which is huge. It looks like I saw some estimates that crit damage is like 1.3 times your attack. So it's actually not as much as like what you expect for other games, where it's like 2 or 2.5 times. So the plus 50% crit damage, I actually think is going to make a significant difference here, especially when Gimli is an ally. But you get most of that stuff at level 1. So this is another skill where it's like, if you have the resources to do it and you plan on like actually upgrading Legolas, then yeah, you can dump resources into it. But outside of that, you can probably leave it at level 3 while you're kind of working on other things. And if he's just sort of going to fit into maybe like a lower level raid team or something like that, I think 3 is definitely viable there. All right, let's talk about the passive. This is the one skill where I think you do actually need to probably put a bunch of resources into it. So at max, gain plus 5% crit chance and an additional 4% crit chance per boon on self. And then on crit, gain advantage for 2 turns to a random fellowship or elf ally. And so advantage is the guaranteed crit, whereas deadly is increasing critical chance by 30%. So there are 2 kind of crit buffs right now, and advantage is definitely the better one. And you can get stacks of them basically, right? So then each attack will have a, will crit, and then you use a stack of advantage. And that's why I think, oh, sorry, I misunderstand. It lasts for a turn. And I guess that means that you can extend the duration of your advantage as well at the max here. And I think at least getting, close to max here would be really important. Plus, having a 2-turn advantage, that's pretty big for damage output. Not going to lie. You kind of pair that with Elrond's leadership ability, or I forget if it's his leadership ability or his passive that extends the buff duration. I think it's his leadership. That can, if you have permanent advantage on some of your characters like Elra here, then that's a big damage output increase. So this is one where I think it's actually worth having a decent amount of upgrades on it. And you need these other upgrades where plus 5% crit chance per boon on self, just because then he's tossing out these advantages more frequently. It's kind of as simple as that. I think this is a pretty good passive, actually. And his leadership ability, I haven't had the chance to really test his leadership ability because I have Elrond, and his leadership is obviously the more important one. So I haven't had quite had the chance to look into this a whole lot. I still think this is a pretty decent leadership ability. So at max, when an elf squad member evades an attack, they gain deadly for 2 turns. Again, that's the increased by 30% chance. And then when an elf squad member crits, they have a 70% chance to gain haste for 1 turn, which is actually, haste is great, 30% speed increase. That's awesome. Elves are already very, very fast. And there's lots of nimbles already built into the elf squad. So they can get deadly pretty easily. And then hopefully with him checking out advantages and, passing out deadlies when they evade things, they're critting pretty often and, getting haste and being able to go again. I don't think you need to upgrade this all the way, though. It's definitely not worth any of the epic ability materials. So you could probably leave it at tier 4 here. And I think that's basically puts you at the max chance. Oh, no. You have 70% chance for deadly. At 5, you would get always deadly, but I think 70% chance and 70% chance for haste is fine if you're going to use him as a lead, but definitely not worth putting any of these very rare epic ability materials into it. If you're going to use him as a leader because you didn't get Elrond the first time around, totally think that's fine. Just don't go past level 4 is my recommendation. So let's talk a little bit, let's transition and talk a little bit about how good he is in Arena. The short answer is I think he's pretty decent on offense, but I'm not going to put him on defense. So let's see. Okay. This is one fight. I'm going to show 3 different arena fights. This particular team, let me see. There's 3 different arena fights that I want to show because they kind of showcase 3 different types of teams that you see at the top of the meta. Okay, so this is an Ironhide team. So not quite as strong as a Brute team, but still pretty strong. But no secondary tank to get around like Halbarad, who increases a bunch of health and has that extra heal. So I've decided I'm going to just go for Elrond right at the start here. One thing I like to do is I like to use Arwen's Clear to get rid of that might off of Elra here so that when he does retaliate, he's just not hitting as hard. Going to go through provoke stacks here on Eladin. You all know the deal with Eladin at this point, right? It's just how can we efficiently get around all of his provokes. You'll notice the second time there, right, he's pinging Elrond, which is really great. So now, because I've cleared those stacks, I can just dump my big Elrahir attack into Elrond. I've already got him down to his Unbreakables, and I don't know why that didn't clear one Unbreakable. I use my big, are you thirsty? Hit him with the drink move from Elrond, and that gives me a pretty big advantage here. And I think I'm basically able to take Elrond out as the first character here, right? And then once you got Elrond out, it's just cleanup, especially when you still have your Elrond. I probably won't show you the rest of the battle here. It's basically me going through Eladin and then just kind of making my way around depending on who I have left. So pretty good for getting to Elrond, especially in a setup like this where you don't have that extra tank from Halbarad. And I'll show you this one next, where I am going to play against a team that has this Halbarad here. You notice I'm able to sort of punch up a little bit with this team. I think that's actually pretty fairly common. It's not too surprising. I'm not doing massive punch-ups like I was able to do with Elrond to other like mix and match teams. Let's see. I recorded these on BlueStacks, so it's just always not great. All right, so in these types of matchups, I typically like to go for Halbarad first because I know he can't be revived, and I know he's going to taunt, so I might as well just dump my damage into him, and then once he's down, I can maybe focus on getting around Eladin and going straight for Elrond. So you notice that's exactly what I'm doing. Again, I used R1 special to clear that might off of Elra here, and basically I'm just using Legolas as more DPS to target down these people. The reason I like this better is because Halbarad, when I use Halbarad in my team, I find I actually don't have a lot of damage and my matches take forever and it's less certain. This has been more certain. I've actually won a majority of the matches I've done and I've been able to punch up a decent amount with Legolas, and my Legolas is not gear 8 and he's got like level 4 skills. Maybe, I think maybe his basic is level 5. He's got like level 4 skills and a level 5 skill. So he's actually not that even fully upgraded. He's not hitting that hard. He's not hitting like Elra here, but I still find him useful. And one of the things I also find useful about him is he's an elf. So I know that he has the capability. God, it looks so terrible on BlueStacks. He has the capability of being revived by Elrond in case he gets hit too hard. And I found he's not that squishy at the level I have him at. Not any more so than like Elra here, or Arwen's a little bit tankier, I find, than them. But he's not too bad. So with Legolas's passive, I do find that I am putting out at least a little bit more damage. I find that my Elra here is doing a lot more work. I mean, that was big. Elra here's gone. I'm going to taunt here. But you can see, took Halbarad out. Now the entire goal is to get around Eladin, which is harder because he's pretty beefy. And I think this is the match I want to showcase this. All right, Eladin's got these stacks here, but it does, and let me go back. So Eladin had a stack of Provoke, right? And it was Legolas's turn, and I didn't have any Unbreakables on their Elrond, and he was basically ready to go, ready to die. And this is the exact scenario that I want to use him in. Okay, I used the basic instead of special 1. That way I could ping Elrond, get him out, and then again, it's just cleanup, right? All right, let's do one last one, I promise, and then we'll end the video. And this time I'm going to go against a Brute team. And it's probably like, what, a 2K-ish punch-up? Brute teams are actually the ones I struggle the most with. Brute just hits so hard, and unless I have the ability to control him, which I feel like I can't with a Halbarad team as much, or Halbarad instead of Legolas, then I just get smoked, basically. So, again, here, I'm actually choosing not to go for Brute first. I'm choosing to go for Elrond first. And I'm just going to try and get around Eladin's taunt as much as I can and just go straight for Elrond here. There's deadlies coming from both Eladin, his special 1, and the passive of Legolas, I believe. So there's a good chance that one ends up on Elra here, which is big, especially when you've got a big attack. So I saved my special 2 there because I want to dump it into Elrond when I get the chance. Okay, he's going to send me into the drink, which hurts a lot. Yeah, I made the decision here. I was like, okay, I'll just do some healing. Again, pinging Elrond. He doesn't hit that hard at the level I have him at anyway. And then, great. Now I can dump my big Elrahir attack, even though I've got weaken on Eladin. And then I hit him with my drink, send him to the Kool-Aid, and it's basically game over here, right? I think I was deciding whether I want to just do a basic so I could ping somebody else, and I was like, nah, whatever. I wanted the nimble. And then what did I do next? I actually don't know. Yeah, I think I just had to deal with Eladin. I find that his special one, Legolas's special one, is not actually, I think I said this before, is not that good at taking off boons. He's not critting as much as I thought he would. And maybe that'll change when he's in a full like fellowship team, or just even when he's with Gimli. See, that's nice. The animation's a little bit confusing because sometimes it fires both arrows at once. But just, again, getting Elrahir to a place where I can just one-tap him with my Elrahir. And then I think, yeah, I'm just trying to go for Brute. Yeah, so I didn't crit a single time, so I can't even take the regen off of Brute here. And then also, that was a mistake because it's 3 hits, and then Brute's passive puts 3 poisons on me. So, amateur hour here, but that's okay. I'm just starting to learn how to play with him. And then, yeah, basically just cleaning it up. You don't need to see the rest of it. So 3 arena matches where I won. I didn't show you any losses, but I think I'm probably still over 50% in my arena matches today where I use Legolas on offense. I'm going to continue to scale him up, again, because I'm interested in building a fellowship team from a personal standpoint. Do I think he's going to change the meta? Not by himself, maybe with Gimli, but even then I'm not entirely sure. I will do the testing when Gimli comes out because I'm also going to get Gimli to 5 stars. And yeah, I think he's okay. I don't think he's breaking the bank. It's not like some absolutely power creeped Marquee character. He's fine. And thanks for watching.